Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co., and we are doing our top 100 analytics, our top 100 stats, analytics, whatever you want to call it. This is basically a bunch of high points or notes or recaps kind of from the top 100 games of all time as of 2024. I did one of these last year, I'm doing one this year, I'll probably do ones next year as well. Someday I might actually do full breakdowns and stats once I have enough data built up. For right now, it's actually 5 years now. 5 years now that I've done a full top 100. I did a top 20 at the very beginning, like when I first started the channel, but it's been now 5 official years of doing a full top 100. At some point soon, we'll start doing full stat breakdowns, like I one time did for the full Dice Tower, although they also had like a whole bunch of people in there, which also made it more interesting to compare and contrast. Whereas one year I did it fully with Devin and Meg, and then Meg's otherwise joined for some of the top sections the past 2 years, which means I'm kind of working with my own data to go off of. That said, the more data I have, the more interesting and visually delightful I can make this. For right now, you basically have me reading off a bunch of sheets of paper of various things that are, interesting takeaways for me. Maybe you appreciate them, maybe not, but they're the interesting takeaways for me. And yes, these 10 specific games are actually, we're going to get to these 10 specific games in the very last section. And yes, you can cheat and look at the timestamps and see what they are. With that said, let's start off with the first section. There are 21 games that have left my top 100 this year. 21 games that were in my top 100 last year, and they left. They're gone. And specifically, from those 21 that left, 11 of them were one-hit wonders. I mean, they might come back in the future, that can happen, but at least 11 of those for right now were one-hit wonders, some of which are actually gone from my collection. I think 2 of which are gone from my collection, and the other 9 are still in, and I still think highly of them, and some of them I could see going back up. We'll talk about it as we go through them. But I'm going to go through them starting off from the very lowest, effectively, meaning I'm going to go through the least offensive ones, which effectively, so for example, Project Elite was number 100 last year, which doesn't make it that shocking that it dropped out. It's a one-hit wonder. It's only been in my top 100 once. It's a game that I really love, and I could see it being higher if I played it more. As it is, I play it very infrequently, and so I don't get to see the full, I have so much content for the game, but because I play it so infrequently, I just dive back in here or there. So that was a one-hit wonder. Acropolis coming in at 99 was another one-hit wonder. Again, no surprises there. When you're talking about the top 10, like 90 through 100, it completely makes sense that things are going to shift in or out. From there, we have a bunch of games to go through before we hit the next one-hit wonder. We have The Great Wall at 98. Someone actually commented recently that, oh my gosh, The Great Wall is now in the top 100. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it was only ever 98 one time, like last year, so it's not that surprising that it dropped out. Still a great game. I still think it's fantastic. Under Falling Skies at 95, dropped out of the top 100. Parks 91. That one dropped out. That one's been here for a while, actually. In fact, what I should have done is should have taken a look to see if any of these have been here for all the years until now, because Parks might have been one that was there for a while. But Parks at 91 dropped out of the top 100. Again, still great. These are all great games. So far, every Acropolis I don't think would hit the top 100 again, although the expansion could change that. Expansions might change things. The other 4 so far, Parks, Under Falling Skies, Great Wall, Project Elite, those I can see all bumping back up. Arena of the Contest at 90, that one saw a big drop. A long time ago, that was in like my top 20 games of all time. But the more I've played it, I still think it's excellent, but it definitely lost some of its shine. The biggest issue I have with it is the longer play sessions make it harder to reasonably table, but I still think it's great. I don't know if it'd be back in the top 100. I don't know, because I think that the more I've played that, the less I've appreciated. I've seen so much of the game. I spent over 100 hours in Arena of the Contest, Tenacious Adventures, so it's definitely dropped there. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes at 89. I don't think that's top 100 material for me right now. I still think it's great. I played it recently. I still think it's a great game. I don't know if it's top 100 right now. Ragnarok's at 86 was another one-hit wonder. That one, again, left the top 100. I do think it has a decent chance of being back. It's a great game. I'm honestly a little surprised it's out. Sprawlopolis at 83 has been here several times. It did leave. I don't know if it would be back. We'll see, but it still is great. I could see it returning. Burn Cycle at 81 is tricky. I think Burn Cycle is incredible when I play it, but I don't table it often. It's a little harder to table from the Chip Theory games. That and Cloudspire both suffer from difficulty in tabling it, which holds them back. Runation at 79 was a one-hit wonder. This one's tricky because I based my rating based on the expansion content making the game better, but I don't have the expansion content right now, so it is a tricky one in a tricky spot. I could see it going either way, but as of right now, it dropped out. Last Light at 77, another one-hit wonder. That one, I am intrigued by where that one will go. I still think Last Light is great. I still think it's a very, very solid game. I don't know. I could see it being back in the top 100. Time will tell on that. Run at 74, I think that was more of a one-hit wonder. Run is excellent. It's a two-player hidden movement game. Similar vein as Mind Management. Again, I could see it going up if I play it more. I don't know. But when I think of Mind Management and Beast already in the top 100, I think Run I was a little high on when I was playing it for the first time. I was a little high on it then, and I don't know if it's held up as well. Still great. Again, these are all great games. I don't think a single game here is under a 4.5 for me. We have General Orders World War II. That was coming at 73 last year. Another one-hit wonder. Another great game. That one, I don't know if it'll come back, but I think if it had a re-theme, if they did like a sci-fi or fantasy theming of General Orders World War II, I think it would be probably in the top 100. It's a great game. The World War II theme means I never actually have it derived to play it, but then when I do play it, I think it's fantastic. We have Endless Winter at 69. This is a tough one. I've been meaning to do a full Endless Winter versus Dune versus Arnak recap. I haven't, but I've been meaning to for like 2 years now. But basically, I've said this before, the short version is Endless Winter is excellent. For me, Endless Winter has stood still as other games have gone above it. Specifically, Arnak and Dune Imperium, the expansions have made those games better. And for Endless Winter, I am not overly impressed by the expansions. I've played through all of them, and they're divided between modular content that's nice for variety, but I don't feel makes the game better, and then the expansions that I think the game makes the game slightly more fiddly. It is still good for variety, but my favorite version of playing Endless Winter is still the base game. So other games have gone higher, Endless Winter has stayed the same, and I could see it being in the top 100 again. I do enjoy it enough. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that one. That's an interesting one. I really do love Endless Winter. I could see it being back in the top 100, but not based on the expansion content. Apiary at 67, definitely a one-hit wonder there. That one is still, Apiary is very smooth, it's very solid, but the tricky part is when I think of Apiary, it doesn't do things differently in a way that is like, I don't know, there's nothing especially unique about it. It just works really well. Again, we're still talking about 4.5 over here. I think Apiary is fantastic, but it definitely was boosted by the newness of it. Which, I mean, newness will be a factor. Excitement around new things will be a factor. I do try to temper it as much as possible, but it still is present and something to be mindful of. Marrakesh at 63, another one-hit wonder. Marrakesh is great. I just think I have other Stefan Feld games I prefer. It's still a great game. It's still in the collection. In fact, the two ones that have left over here, we haven't gotten them yet. They're actually higher up, which is interesting. Wayfarers of the Tigris at 62. I can see that one being back. I need to play that one more. It's a great game. I've played it a few times. I think the highness of it initially was definitely present, and I haven't played it in like a good 8 months, but I could see it returning as I play it more. Lancaster at 57 and Concordia at 46 are the two that left my collection, and those are tricky, but Lancaster left because as much as I think Lancaster is incredible, when I'm trying to be critical of myself of what games are tabled and not, I think there are better Euro games that I have, and the main mechanism of Lancaster that I appreciate the most, I think Rurik does that mechanism better, which is kind of like bumping workers out. It's a little different, it's not exactly the same mechanism, but I think I prefer playing Rurik for bumping people out and other Euro games over Lancaster. It still is incredible. It's been around for a long time. I still heavily recommend it. It's just the nature of hard choices. Concordia is more complicated on the other hand. Concordia at 46, that one is a game that I loved for a long time, but recent plays of the game my past few plays of it have been a little not as good. I don't have a better way of defining it other than to say that I loved it for a very long time, and the past few plays have felt a little bit more procedural. Now, huge fans of Concordia will probably want to lynch me, which I get. I think it's an excellent game. It definitely dropped off for me, unfortunately, and that's not a one-hit wonder. Both those games have been in my top 100 several times. Master of the Universe at 38 is the last one-hit wonder and the highest on the list. That one's partially boosted because I kind of compare Master of the Universe to the World of Smog, Rise of Moloch, which was still in my top 100. Master of the Universe did unfortunately drop. I had a few plays as well that were not where I wanted them to be as far as different issues with the gameplays, and part of it is the fact that the game is scenario based. So when I first dove into it, when I first played Master of the Universe, my first several plays were just the first scenario, and as I dove into other scenarios, some have worked, some haven't. This is a problem I have with Clueless May Die as well, honestly, but Clueless May Die overall, while there is a range in how good it is, the overall range is just much higher. So Master of the Universe, I could see it returning. I don't know. I was surprised. That one, honestly, from my entire list, the one I was probably the most surprised by was Master of the Universe not being there. That one was tough. Wayfarers and Marrakesh, honestly, those were also hard ones. But with 21 games leaving my top 100, which 21 games were added to my top 100? From these 21, 17 were totally new, and 4 of them have been on the top 100 in the past. Starting off at the very highest and working our way down, We have Faraway at 95, Circle the Wagons at 94, not new to my top 100, but it made its way in this year. I was a little surprised to see that Sprawlopolis has faded out a bit and Circle the Wagons is in. Again, both are excellent. I could see those bumping around. They're both going to be in the higher tiers, but they're both fantastic games. Cusco / Bora Bora at 90 is completely new to my list. I'm surprised by that, but when I think about it, I'd rather play Cusco over Marrakesh. It makes sense, that swap. Honestly, to an extent, I'm surprised that Cusco's not higher. Le Havre at 88 is also not new to my top 100. It's been in and out, but it's currently at 88. Canvas at 85. Agamonia at 84. Those are both new to the top 100 and well-deserved. If anything, I think Agamonia has a decent chance of being even higher next year. Bunny Kingdoms at 82 was not in my top 100 last year, but is not new to the list in general, as well as Raja of the Ganges at 79 as well is not new to the top 100, but it's new this year, meaning last year wasn't here, but it's not new to the top 100. So Circle the Wagons, Le Havre, Bunny Kingdoms, and Rajas are the 4 that are not new, but are back in this year. That's what I'm saying. Things shift in and out sometimes, especially the higher ranges. Cat in the Box at 77, Harmonies at 76. Cat in the Box, I'm a little surprised to see that high, but it's a great game. I love playing it, and Harmonies is new. It's a new game. Skyrise at 71 is incredible. I love Skyrise. I'm a big fan of it. I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic and well-deserved. I think it's almost certainly going to be here next year. Like, when I think of, like, what's likely here next year, Harmonies I could see going either way. There's enough games that do what Harmonies does that I could see it ebbing and flowing a bit. Versus Skyrise, I think will almost certainly be here. Wondrous Creatures at 70, I'd be very surprised if it's not here. Kingdom Builder at 66, I'm surprised that's new to the top 100. I've had Kingdom Builder for a long time. Once upon a time, way back before I ever did YouTube content, I put Kingdom Builder in my top 10 games of all time, way back before I officially did videos. Like, when I just thought of what are my top 10 favorite games, there are a bunch in there. Some that are still around, and I mean, some not. Kingdom Builder's still around, Five Tribes is still around. Was Five Tribes in my top 100? I don't think it was. It arguably should be. Was it my top? I'm curious. I need to go check that out. Five Tribes is a good game. Oh my gosh. Anyways, Five Tribes, Kingdom Builder, those are were my top 10 of all time. Once upon a time, Codenames was there. I want to think, because I remember once upon a time I did a top 10, like unofficially. I was just thinking of my top 10 games, and I don't remember all of them, but I know Cosmic Encounter was there, which is gone from my collection now. Longer story there. Cosmic Encounter, Kingdom Builder, Five Tribes, Codenames. I don't remember what else. I'm sure some of my area control favorites were there. Kemet, Blood Rage, I don't know. This is way before. I may not have even played Kemet or Terraforming Mars by then. Either way, Wondrous Creatures at 70, Kingdom Build at 66, Things and Rings at 64. I am curious. That one I do think will drop. I don't know if it'll be top 100 or not, but I think it will drop. It's an excellent game, but I've played it so much that some of the allure is lost. And I do talk about this, where sometimes people get upset that, or critical, not upset, critical that, well, if you play a game so much and it drops because of that, just means there's a good game. And I'm like, yes, but other games I play so much and they stay the same or even go higher. So it is tricky, and things are moving targets. But Things and Rings at 64 is still great. I don't know if it's top 100 material forever. It might be a next year, it might not. I know my initial high has already gone down, still in the top 100, but there's been a shift. Spectacular at 59. I think Spectacular is likely here next year. I think it's great. When I think of Harmonies versus Spectacular, I'd rather play Spectacular, but both are solid. Spectacular just does some things different. It's a tile-laying, drafting tile-laying game similar to Harmonies and others, but with a drafting mechanic in, which I like that addition. Lord of the Rings Duel over here at 53. The Emerald Flame at 49. Lord of the Rings Duel. I'm honestly surprised Seven Wonders Duel hasn't been here until now, but I guess it hasn't. But Lord of the Rings Duel and Seven Wonders Duel combined, they're both there at 53. I think they'll hold that spot. The Emerald Flame at 49. This one's technically not new to the list because I kind of did the Emerald Flame / the placeholder of unlock games, escape room games. And escape room games have been in the top 100. Emerald Flame is just the current placeholder for it as my favorite escape room game I've played till now. Unconscious Mind at 48. If anything, that will be higher next year. I would be shocked if Unconscious Mind is not higher. I think it's going to be higher. It's going to go up. Clans of Caledonia at 42. I can see that shifting around a bit. It's a great game. I've played it like 10 plus times since discovering it, which I don't get to play new games that I love. I don't often get to play 10 plus times. Like even Unconscious Mind, I've only played the final game once. I played the prototype 3 or 4 times, but I played the final game 1 time. I have another play scheduled like next week, but that's a different story. Like even Spectacular. Spectacular is great. I've played it, and it's a smaller game than Clans of Caledonia, but I've played it like 7 times maybe. Skyrise I've played like 4 or 5 times since it arrived. I also played it during the prototype phase. Things and Rings I've played like 30 times. So again, there's different ranges for how often any individual game gets played. Shuffleboard at 37. I have played this like 100 times this year. Shuffleboard, I don't know if it'll go higher. 37 is already high enough that I don't know if it'll be higher or not, but Shuffleboard at 37 is going to be here next year. And then Primal at 6. Speaking of games I've gotten a lot of plays in, I've played Primal like 15, 20 times since getting it. It is delightful. It's incredible. I highly recommend it. Those are the 21 new to the list in 2024. Not 2021, but 21 games that were new to the list. Then we have the biggest drops. The biggest drops on the list, these are the biggest drops, and my criteria for them, I'm going to be doing the biggest drops and then the biggest rises. And the criteria here is that the difference had to be at least 15, meaning at least 15 adjustments. So if a game was number 6 last year and it's number 8 this year, that's not a drop. If it was number 6 last year and it's 16 this year, it's not a drop. If it's 6 last year and it was 26 last year, this year, then it's a 20-point drop. So that's what I'm tracking, at least a 15-point drop. Obviously, anything that dropped from the top 100 entirely, well, we just cover those. So the biggest drops we have, and again, going by the lowest distance to the highest distance to make it more dramatic and all that. Coming in at 15-point drop from 19 to 34, we have Expeditions. Expeditions is still phenomenal. I could see that adjusting around. I could still that moving and adjusting. Again, there is a recency bias at play. Don't get me wrong, there's games in my top 100 that I haven't played in a year. That definitely happens. But there are also games that get bumped because of recency bias, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had 4 great games of Expeditions. It's so good, I can't wait to talk about it. And that could elevate a game. So 19 to 34, 15-point drop. We have the Loop going from 30 to 47, a 17-point drop. Beast going from 64 to 81, another 17-point drop. 5 Tribes. 5 Tribes isn't my top 100. Good for me. Going from 72 to 89, a 17-point drop. 33. Every once in a while that happens, by the way, where I'm not sure if I put a game there or not, and I'm like thinking it should be there, and I'm just glad it was. Ticket to Ride Legends of the West going from 37 to 57, a 20-point drop. That makes sense because I haven't played it for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, again, like I still think it's great, but if I dove into a full Ticket to Ride Legends of the West campaign, it might jump back up again. Unsettled from 20 to 41. That's a big drop of 21 points. I still think Unsettled is great. I don't have an easy answer. Someone actually specifically asked, why the drop in Unsettled? I don't always have an easy answer. Sometimes, like, these lists are put together with a degree of how do I feel right now, and I don't really cross-check to previous years to see if it all makes sense. I do it based on how I feel. I rank the games, I go through Pub Meeple, I do a manual adjustment on Pub Meeple because Pub Meeple is not a perfect system, but then after that I'm like, this looks good. Yeah, like I think Unsettled is less than this. So sometimes just desires to play fluctuating, and honestly, even a 20-point drop, when you think about it, with 21 games being added to the list, sometimes things just drop just because other games are being added. Monaco is going from 70 to 92 at a 22-point drop. Radlands from 60 to 83 at a 23-point drop. Quest for El Dorado from 14 to 39 at a 25-point drop. Brass going from 43 to 75, a 32-point drop, and honestly, if I played Brass a little more, it would jump right back up there. Brass is one of those games that definitely, every time I play it, I'm like, oh, this is so satisfying, but desire to play is a factor on these lists. 45, Food Chain Magnet going from 45 to 80, a 35-point drop. I love Food Chain Magnet, and I'm realizing I'd rather play Brass over it. I think Food Chain Magnet's incredible. It is brain burnery, and it sometimes follows a little bit of the same initial procedure. I do have the catch-up mechanism. I do plan on playing it. I have not done so yet. We have Paris going from 15 to 51, a 36-point drop. This is Paris, the City of Lights from Devere. Honestly, that one I'm a bit surprised by. I don't know why that drop. It's a great game. It's a phenomenal experience. I love it. I think it might partially be biased by the fact that I usually win that game pretty cleanly. And that does, once a game starts to feel a little less challenging, it can affect my experience or enjoyment of the game. So I really just need more people who are playing Paris. And again, it's not often. I don't think I'm an amazing player by any means. I think I'm a competent player who's pretty good. And then if you play enough games, there'll be some games that I'm better than the people around me. And Paris, I almost always win that game. That might be the reason for the drop. I find it less challenging to pull it out. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's the reason. Oathsworn going from 22 to 58. This is, again, likely just recency bias. Although I don't know. We'll see. I have to play more Oathsworn and let you know. We have TAC from 27 to 63. I don't have a good answer for this. Honestly, I think the 27 is probably a bit high. The 63 sounds about right. I love TAC. It's excellent. But 27 to 63 does make sense to me. Dune Imperium from 32 to 68. A 36-point drop. I do love Dune Imperium. I do. But I still... The other games have held stronger for me. Again, more plays could change that. Dune Imperium Uprising could change that. The newest expansion, I haven't played that. That might change that. We have Massive Darkness Hellscape going from 59 to 97, a 38-point drop and barely in the top 100. Although the next one I guess is worse, but 59 to 97 is big. I think Massive Darkness Hellscape, I don't remember exactly where I was when I reviewed it, but I know that I had a specific problem with Massive Darkness where I love the game, but I did find the difficulty not challenging enough. You have to kind of house rule the difficulty, so that could have been an impact on it dropping for me. Still think it's great. 20 Strong going from 58 to 99, a 41-point drop and barely in the top 100. I still think 20 Strong is fantastic. I think the 99 is probably not being fair enough to it. I think it's a great game. I wonder if the solo play is pushing it back for me. Don't get me wrong, there are solo games that are higher, like Fort Northwood is in my top 10, but I do wonder. I wonder about that. I'm curious where that will be next year. Machina Arcana from 49 to 91. This is almost certainly recency bias, a 42-point drop. I have not played Machina Arcana in like a year. I love that game. I just need to play it more. Aquatica from 29 to 72, a 43-point drop. I do not have an easy answer on this one. I still think Aquatica is great. Still in the top 100. I could see it bumping up next year. We'll see how that goes. City of Spies from 53 to 98, a 45-point drop. I think this is me getting a little tired of the formula of City of Spies. Like, this is one. City of Spies is one that I could see leaving my top 100. Like, Aquatica is not going anywhere. That's great. Sorry, not top 100. City of Spies I can see leaving my collection. I'm not there yet, and it might never happen, but I do know that I think I've seen the patterns play out enough times in City of Spies that some of the charm is being lost on me. From there we go to our biggest rises. We have 14 games. By the way, we had 21 games that dropped at least 15 points. We have 14 games that raised by at least 15 points. And again, going in order from those, we have Hanamakoji jumping 19 points from 44 to 25. Hanamakoji's excellent. It's well-deserved. I'm fine with that. We have Tra going from 55 to 36, a 19-point jump. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by that. I'm surprised Tra's 36. It's a great game, but when I think of like some of the games that have dropped, like we have Brass at 75 and Twa at 36. I think that needs some course correcting. We have Quad Heroes going from 87 to 67, a 20-point jump. And yes, I did unfortunately see the news on Quad Heroes. If you've seen that, I'm very happy I have not gotten rid of my Quad Heroes version 1, which I don't know why I didn't. Very often I'll get rid of a game when a new version is coming, and I didn't with Quad Heroes, and I'm so happy I did not, because there's still a chance Quad Heroes will be delivered. It doesn't seem like it's a give up hope kind of situation, but it certainly does seem like it's a I'm definitely not getting rid of Quad Heroes 1 until Quad Heroes 2 shows up. Quad Heroes is fantastic. I'm very sad about the news that, again, they're having troubles with the campaign and delivery. That's what it comes down to. Not like give up hope troubles, but troubles. But it's an excellent experience. I think that jump 20 points is great. It's a great game. Anno 1800, from 41 to 18, a 23-point jump. I think it's so easily approachable. It's so easy to table. I love Anno 1800. Cannot recommend it enough. Lord of the Rings Trick Taking game from 47 to 22. This goes, sorry, I said Lord of the Rings Trick Taking, but it's really the crew. I've played Lord of the Rings Trick Taking. I do not have Lord of the Rings Trick Taking, but honestly, that might be part of the bump, which might be unfair, but like the crew and Lord of the Rings are basically the same game. If you play them, you'll agree with me. They're the same game, just one is thematic, one is not. Other than that, they're the same game. But the crew is great, and Lord of the Rings probably is the reason for the bump there, even though I don't have it. So 47 to 22, a 25-point jump. We have Blood Rage going from 54 to 28, a 26-point jump. I'm happy with that. 54 feels a little low for Blood Rage. Blood Rage is fantastic. It definitely has gone down. At one point, it's my #1 game of all time. Again, I've seen the patterns play out enough, but that's not going anywhere. Like, I don't see Blood Rage leaving my collection. I don't want to say ever. Ever is always a thing, but it's not leaving my collection for years. Decrypto from 76 to 50. That is a pretty decent jump for Decrypto. Decrypto is always a fun time. I don't know if it'll be there next year. I can see it jumping back down again. 50 seems a bit high for it. We have Crocodile 42 to 15, a 27-point jump. I think it was even higher the year before though, so like it's been on a bit of an arc and up and down, but in the top 50 for several years now. We have Mosaic from 56 to 29, a 27-point jump, which again is well deserved. Mosaic is fantastic. I love playing it. Although again, 29 does possibly seem high. Like Quest for El Dorado at 39, that needs some shifting. I'm having a post top 100 adjustments over here. Not actually adjusting them, just the thoughts in my head and all that. That was Mosaic. Dominion from 68 to 30. Dominion is amazing. I love it. The app has definitely boosted the accessibility, but I've played it in person and on the app. It's still a great, excellent game. Valeria Card Kingdoms, and Dominion from 68 to 30 is a 38-point jump. Mosaic's 27-point jump. Valeria Card Kingdoms, a 42-point jump from 96 to 54. Valeria is consistently a good time. I don't know if it'll be 54 next year. It might be higher, it might be lower, I don't know, but it is always an excellent time. I would barely ever turn down that game. It's an excellent experience. My City going from 94 to 45, a 49-point jump. I just can't get over how often I'm willing to play My City. Like, I'm always willing. You want to play a campaign in my city right now? I'll do it. I'll start it off. Let's do it. Let's just jump into this. Let's have fun. Let's do this thing. It's a great game. I have played it so much, it's a little ridiculous. We have Calico from 93 to 27. That feels like a big jump. Again, the solo definitely boosts that, which I covered in the top 100. A 66-point jump. That feels ridiculous. Although, and Calico, like, I don't know if it's 27 next year. We'll see where it goes. But So Clover going from 97 to 14, an 83-point jump. That is because So Clover has, over the past year, become my go-to let's play a filler game any single time. So Clover, So Clover, So Clover. I have played this game so many times, and it has not lost any of the allure. So Clover is fantastic. From here, we go to the top 20 aggregate rankings. What this is, top 20 aggregate rankings, is basically I look over the past 5 years, and again, I'm ignoring that first year where I only did the top 20 because I want to have all the data, but I look over the past 5 years, 2019 through 2024, and I took a look at the rankings of everything inversed, meaning effectively a 1, because of number 1 game of all time, gets 100 points. My number 100 game of all time gets 1 point. So I took a look at all the rankings of these, I divided it by 5, and that means if a game wasn't in my top 100, it got a 0. If in 2019 it wasn't there, it gets 0 for that year. So I average it out across the past 5 years. So I take their full score across 5 years, invert it to 100, divide by 5, and give you the rankings. And these are my top 20 games of, well, all time based on the past 5 years. Although the next list is interesting. So top 20 aggregate, coming in at number 20, we have Mind Management with 64 points. So again, technically this means it would have been an average of, I guess, 36. Does that make sense? If it was my 64 points, you inverse it. So yeah, 36 points. It would have been an average spot of 36 across the past 5 years. But Mind Management at 64. Keeping in mind, by the way, it wasn't there the past 2 years. So it's only been the past 3 years that I've even had it. So not the past 2, the first 2 years. So Mind Management at 64. Through the Ages with 65 points. The Quest for El Dorado at 66. TAC at 66. Bruges at 75. Keeping in mind, because we're averaging 2 games can share a spot. Bruges coming in at 75. That's our top 5 over there. So 5 through 16 are Mind Management, Through the Ages, Quest for El Dorado, TAC, and Bruges. Coming in at number 15, we have Codenames at 76 points, again, per year average spot. El Grande at 76, Spirit Island at 81, Blood Rage at 82, Marvel Zombies / Zombicide Black Plague at 83. I lump those two together. They are my 2 favorite Zombicides. For the top 10, we have Coimbra as the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we have one more. Coimbra is our number 11, coming in with 86 points. And again, 86 points means it would have been an average spot of 14, which is pretty consistent with how I feel about Coimbra. Our top 10 over here, we have Lost Ruins of Arnak coming in at 90. That means it's an average spot at 10 in my collection, or I guess arguably 11, maybe 11. But Lost Ruins of Arnak at 90. We have Everdell with 90 points. Rurik Dawn of Kiev with 90 points. So a 3-way tie at 90 points. We have Too Many Bones at 91. The Castles of Burgundy at 92. Cyclades at 93. Inish at 94. Vindication at 95. Cthulhu Death May Die at 97, and Terraforming Mars at 98. That is an aggregate score. Keep in mind, Terraforming Mars has 2 of the number 1 spots across 5 years. If I'm not mistaken, 2019 it was Blood Rage, 2020 it was Terraforming Mars, 2021 it was Terraforming Mars, 2020 was Blood Rage, 2021 was Terraforming Mars, 2022 was Terraforming Mars, 2023 was Vindication, and 2024 was the Castle of Burgundy, and I think 2019 was Blood Rage again. So, but I can't go back because I only have 20 from that year. So that is our top 20 with aggregate ratings across the past 5 years. Then we have. Did I lose a section? Oh my gosh, I lost a section. Darn it. I'll be back. So basically, my printer decided to print 6 out of 7 pages because there were 6 pieces of paper left in the printer, which means I didn't notice the last page missing. Anyways, the missing sheet is the games that have always been here across the past 5 years. These are games that have, exactly what it sounds like, they have been on the top 100 every single year since they've came out. There are 37 games, not ever since I've been doing the top 100, they have been on the list. There are 37 games on this list. I'm going to rapid fire go through them. We have Valeria Card Kingdom, City of Spies, Water Shadowgate, Kemet, The Crew, Carson City, Dominion, Istanbul, Root, Machina Arcana, Rum and Bones, Hanamakoji, Dune Imperium, Marvel Champions, Trois, Fuche Magnet, Brass, Through the Ages, Quest for Eldorado, TAC, Bruges, Codenames, El Grande, Spirit Island, Blood Rage, Marvel Zombies / Zombicide Black Plague, Coimbra, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Everdell, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, Too Many Bones, Castle Burgundy, Cyclades, Inish, Vindication, Cthulhu Death May Die, and Terraforming Mars. Although I am surprised Everdell's been out for not Everdell. Lost Ruins of Arnak's been out for 5 years. I didn't realize that. Anyways, the last category, and the games on the table right now, are the top 20 games of all time based on a formulaic approach. Meaning, instead of just simply summing up the games, for example, I mentioned Mind Management. Mind Management is, a great game, but it's only been on the top 100 for the past, it's been on the top 100 for the past 3 years. It didn't exist the 2 years prior, so it's getting unfairly dinged because of that. So this is a slightly revised list. The way this is working is that I put together a formula I might tweak for the future, but just so you know, the basic way the formula works right now is I'm trying to fill in the gaps whenever a game only came out later or I only played it later. But if I haven't played a game and therefore it started showing up in the top 100 the past 2 years, just this year, the past 3 years, any of those things, how do I handle that? So effectively, it doesn't account for gaps, meaning if a game was 70, 0, 0, 60, 0, then that's what it is, because that, I had it at the time. The tricky part is if a game was 70, 60, 50, 0, 0 because I hadn't played it, there's trying to fill in the gaps. And the way it does this is it's only looking for a consistent string of zeros across previous years, meaning again, not just a 0 year, but 0 years the rest of the way through, if that makes sense. And then it applies either the average value of the other years. So for example, if a game, and again, I think I can make it better because I think you can follow trend lines. I honestly just decided to do this today, so it's a very brief for today. But it either follows the average. So for example, if a game was here the past 3 years and then not here the 2 years prior, it takes the average of the past 3 years and plugs it into the past 2 years prior. Alternatively, if a game was a one-hit wonder, I demote it by 15 points. So for example, if a game was, 78 last year. If a game was on the list, it was 78 last year. Did I do this right? I think I did this right. Yeah, because lower the score, yeah. If a game was, let's say, 70. If a game was 70 last year, but it wasn't here the prior 2 years, then this year would be 0, because this year I have the knowledge I didn't put on the list. Last year would be 70, and the 2 prior years are 85, 85, 85. This is the inverse, meaning if it was spot 70, it would be spot 85. Basically, if a game was a one-hit wonder, I demote it 15 points for the prior years to account for the fact that there's definitely some degree of hype around it. And even that, honestly, might be too gracious. One-hit wonders are tricky, and maybe I'll apply a formula as well as where they could have been or how they could have played out. There's not going to be a perfect system. This is not meant to be a perfect system. This is meant to be for your entertainment only. So with our formulaic approach, we have the following. We have Crokinole coming in with 80 points. And again, this is inverse. So 80 is good, 100 would be the maximum, 0 would be the least, and 80 is good. Mind Management is coming in at 81, which actually, Mind Management was on a similar position. Mind Management was the number 20 game on our aggregate list. It's our number 19 on the plugged-in formulas. But part of that's because Mind Management is not the only game getting a boost. A bunch of games are getting a boost, so it kind of kept its positioning. We have Spirit Island coming in at 81. We have Blood Rage at 82. Marvel Zombies / Zombicide Black Plague at 83. Actually, it's going to be interesting to compare these lists over here. We have Primal the Awakening at 83. We have The Witcher. So for example, Primal the Awakening is a great one. Primal the Awakening was my number 6 game this year, which means it got 95 points, or maybe it's 5 game getting 95 points, whatever it was. It got 95 points in the scale, but then every prior year plugged in with 80 points because of that, because it gets demoted. So Primal Awakening with 83 points average across the past 5 years. The Witcher Old World with 86 points, Coimbra with 86, Lost Ruins of Arnak with 90, Everdell with 90, Rurik with 90. Do we have another 3-way 90 tie? Oh, it's the exact same games. They have the same score. That's why that's because those three have actually been on the list, so it didn't matter. And then coming in with our top 10. This is why we have the games on the table over here. Our top 10 is For Northwood with 91 points. We have Too Many Bones with 91 points. The Castle of Burgundy with 92 points. Too Many Bones is here. The Castle of Burgundy with 92 points. Cyclades with 93, Inish with 94, Vindication with 95, DEI with 95, Cthulhu Death May Die with 97, and Terraforming Mars with 98. And for your funsies, the games that got plugged in through this formulaic scoring, the games that got added to my forever top whatever, is going to be Crokinole. Crokinole jumped in there. Blood Rage, no. Primal jumped in there. The Witcher Old World jumped in there. Is that it? Rurik has always been here. For Northwood may have jumped in here. 4 Northwood jumped in here. Castles, Cyclades, Inish, Vindication. Vindication. Nope, Vindication was in the list either way. DEI, Divide et Impera, jumped in here. So those are the 5 games that jump in once you apply a formulaic scoring. Again, Crokinole, Primal, The Witcher, 4 Northwood, and DEI all get a formulaic bump because of how they're more recent games that I've started adding. Crokinole, I think, for the past 3 years. Mind Management was all, well, this is on the list anyway. Primal just this past year. The Witcher the past 2 years. 4 Northwood the past 2 years. And DEI the past 2 years. Anyways, that is your top 100 games of all time breakdown, which means if you're looking for recommendations, aside from just of course, the top 100, if you want to see games that have been consistently in my collection, consistently in my top 100, the 37 games that have been here in the top 100 for the past 5 years, that's a great list of recommendations. The top 20, either the top 20 aggregate scoring or the top 20 games that would get that formulaic scoring, those are going to both be great lists of recommendations, although take Primal with a grain of salt. Primal's the only game that's actually coming in with one single data point on those recommendations, but it also means that it got dinged 15 points each year prior because of that. So it's coming in 95, 80, 80, 80 was the scoring it got, averaged out to 83.3, etc., etc. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat just data crunching numbers, all those kinds of things. And as always, I hope you have a good one.